I give the call to the member for Durack.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Indigenous Australians. Labor's decision to scrap the cashless debit card will unleash an avalanche of drugs and alcohol into the most vulnerable communities. Mr Truss, Executive Chair of the Woonan Foundation in the East Kimberley, says he fears the extra cash on the streets would lead to a spike in alcohol-related harm. He says, "I think it could be chaos." Will the government take full responsibility for any spike in domestic violence or child neglect in Indigenous communities as a consequence of abolishing the cashless debit card?
Order. I give the call to the Minister for Indigenous Australians.
Can I just say up front that this commitment was an election policy, and it was an election policy that we took extremely seriously and done an enormous amount of consultation about, including with Mr Truss, who is in, of course, Western Australia. The cashless debit card diminishes people's self-worth. It is discriminatory and it's arbitrary. It is also very important to understand. If you want to hear this, then be quiet. It is also a piece of infrastructure policy that has been reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. It was a piece of technology that was used by a private organisation for profit. That is the truth of it. And the other part of it is that mandatory income management across the board has been a failure. You seem to all forget
The member for Forest
that
will withdraw that comment.
The
Minister will resume her seat. The member for Forest will withdraw that comment.
Speaker.
The Minister will continue with her answer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The other point is this, and this is very, very important, that this measure is voluntary. If people want to stay on the cashless debit card or income management, that is their decision. We have made sure that within this piece of legislation there is a voluntary component. There is also a component to the member for wherever you're from, that there is also within this legislation the component where people will be placed on income management if there is a court order against them, including child abuse, including domestic violence. So get to know what the legislation is about before you start asking those sort of questions. We do not believe in mandatory income management. It is voluntary, and there will be situations where there will be people placed on income management because of the particular circumstances they find themselves in. That is this legislation. We have listened to the voices, we have consulted, and we will be going forward on this.